Well, hey everybody. Well, here I am for the first day of Monsterathon. And I know we're supposed to do a wrap up at the very end, but I decided I'm going to try, at least try to post weekly vlogs of my reading progress throughout Monsterathon. Because we do have 10 books to get through, and I still will do a little wrap up at the very end, but I'm not going to go into too much depth. But yeah, so I thought it might be kind of fun to do weekly vlogs and talk about my progress as I move through the books. And yeah, there are 10 books that we have to get through, or 10 challenges, and we get points for each challenge that we do. There's also supposed to be some video challenges coming up too. There's supposed to be 5 of them. The TBR, which I've already done, the wrap up at the end, and then a couple of additional ones that are surprises. So keep your eye out for them. So the first book that I'm reading is The Night Tiger. And I already read this today. I read about, what page was I on? 109. So I read 109 pages, so which isn't too bad for the first day of a readathon. And this book, it takes place during colonial Malaysia, and it opens with a young boy. His name is Ren. He's 11 years old, and his master is dying, so he's a houseboy for this master. So his master tells him that he has, I think it's 44 days to find his master's missing finger, and that the boy has to bury the finger in the master's grave. Otherwise, his soul will be bound to walk eternally on the earth. So Ren sets off to find the missing finger. Meanwhile, we meet a young lady named Lin, I believe her name is, and she works as a dressmaker by day and as a dance hall girl by night. Of course, none of her family or friends knows that she's a dance hall girl. So she ends up dancing with a stranger, and she kind of reaches in the stranger's pocket. I don't know whether to pickpocket him. And she ends up with a test tube with a liquid and finger inside. So we can only assume that the finger in question belongs to Ren's master. So we assume at some point the two of them are going to, their paths are going to entwine. But yeah, so thus far, I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. And I should get quite a bit of reading done tomorrow because it is a holiday here in the United States. It's Labor Day. So, given that it's Labor Day, I am not going to labor, and I'll probably spend the day reading. And amongst other things, I'll probably get out for a bite to eat or see a movie or something. But for sure, I'm going to try to make some progress on The Night Tiger. So I have 30 days to read all 10 books. And if I remember correctly, a couple of them aren't that large, so that shouldn't be too bad. Although one of them is a stonker. It's at 600 pages, I do believe. And that is A Cemetery Road. And I will probably start that tonight. And I'll report back to you then. So I will catch up with you all later. Well, hey everybody, it's day 2 of the Monsterathon read-along. And I just finished The Night Tiger by Yangtze Chu. And yeah, so this was an excellent book. I really loved it. And I've already talked about the synopsis a little bit, about the boy trying to find his master's finger, and a young girl who ends up with a finger and is trying to get rid of it, trying to figure out its rightful home. Now, along the way, there are bodies appearing on the outskirts of the village, mauled and partly eaten, dismembered, which people believe to be either a tiger or a were-tiger. Now, a were-tiger is a creature of myth that supposedly can walk in human skins. So this is kind of the opposite of a werewolf. So a werewolf turns into an animal. This is an animal that turns into a human and can kind of case out the village and decide where it's going to attack next. So there's that, a little bit of intrigue, along with the murders that are occurring. And also there are murders that are not tiger related, which added an extra intrigue to the story. But yeah, this was a really excellent read. I read the first 100 pages on, Sunday, And yesterday, being Labor Day, I just sat on the porch. It was, I don't know, in the mid-80s degrees Fahrenheit here. Just a lovely summer day. And so I just sat on the porch and read until I finished the entire book. So I will probably do a full-on review of this on this channel, so I'm not going to go into too much depth about the plot or my thoughts on it. Just that first book was definitely a thumbs up. A great start to the readathon. And this book was the challenge. We were supposed to read a book about a creature that had plant or animal characteristics. For this one I went with the were-tiger. Now I also started another book that is entitled Cemetery Road by Greg Iles. This was actually an advanced reader copy that I received, and I should have gotten to it a little bit sooner, but meaning to. For this book, the challenge was read a monster-sized book, a book over 400 pages. And this one comes in at about 587 pages. Yes, 587 pages. So rather than read this all in one fell swoop, well, I'm going to treat it as I usually do my massive chunkers, is I read them a little at a time every night before bed. So I decided I was going to read about 20 pages of this every evening before bed. So it's on my bedside table, which means I will be able to finish it off by the end of the month. And of course, there's nights when I get more involved in the story and I have a hard time putting it down, and I end up reading more than 20 pages. So the book starts out right away with a murder. The man's name is Buck, who's on the site of a new building that's going to be erected there, a paper mill actually, as we learn. And Buck is, he's made this discovery which could change the outcome of the mill project. But as he's digging, he hears voices behind him, and of course it's nighttime, and he tries to explain to them excitedly what he's found and how this is going to change things. And their response, knock him in the head with a brick to bash his brains in. And that is how the story starts. So Buck's friend is Marshall McGowan, who Buck was actually kind of a surrogate father to him, and he took Marshall in. Marshall has actually returned to town after a couple of decades to take care of his terminally ill father. So he happens to be in town when Buck's death hits the news, and Buck's body is found in a river. And we can pretty much guess the way things are going that Marshall is going to investigate Buck's death. Now there's this group of people in town known as the Poker Club, which are the wealthiest and most powerful people in town, who definitely have a vested interest in this paper mill succeeding. So, so they might have had something to do with his death, but we'll have to wait and find out. So so far so good. It's kind of funny with this book. The publisher first sent me a paperback advanced reading copy, and then a couple of weeks later they sent me this beautiful hardcover edition with deckled edges. And the funny thing is the book was already published when I received the advanced reader copy, so kind of interesting, but that was so nice of them. So I'm looking forward to finishing this story. So for my main book, now that I've finished The Night Tiger, I think I'm going to move on to the Patrick Ness book, The Rest of Us Just Live Here. And that was a book that I saw in somebody's on-haul video, which is one of the challenges. Choose a book that you saw in somebody's on-haul video. So hopefully I will like it a little better than they did. And I'm going to start that probably this evening. So that is it. Talk to you later. Hey everybody, I'm checking in, and it is day 3 of the Monsterathon, which is September 4th. I still can't believe it's September already. Oh my God, the summer just flew. But that is what happens. The wheel of the year has turned once again. So anyway, I am reading The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I just started it really. I only got to page 70. And it's definitely a strange little book. And it's told from the point of view of a senior in high school named Mikey. And he's talking about a group of students at his school known as the Indie Kids, who are supposedly the chosen ones. Many of them are. They're the ones who are chosen to fight the vampires and the zombies, the ones with destinies, while Mikey and his friends and the other students, they just live here. So basically, thus far, the book has just been backstory, filling us in on him, his friends. He has a horrible crush on this girl named Hannah, who seems to be sweet on one of the indie kids. Not an indie kid, actually a new kid who had just moved into school. So one of the indie kids has been found dead, murdered in the woods near the school. So I assume there's going to be some sort of intrigue now, and somehow Mikey and his friends are going to be getting involved. But yeah, so I don't know too much about this. Sounded kind of fun though, and I've read other Patrick Ness books and I've really enjoyed them. So I thought I'd give this one a go as well. Today I'm going to be working most of the day, and I actually have a couple of booktube videos that I have to do. My wrap-up video for August, and I also have a TBR and a couple of book reviews to do, though I call them book chats now. But yeah, so I'm going to try to do, so I'm going to be doing those today, and then I'm going to try to sit down this evening and read. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I should be able to make a dent through it. I'm already on page 70, and it's only 300 pages, and it's pretty fast reading. It's a small book with larger print, so should be able to fly through it. And I haven't given thought of what I'm going to start after this one, but I have 7 books to choose from. Speaking of that, I've been reading Cemetery Road, 20 pages every night. So yeah, and it's coming along quite nicely. It's quite an intriguing and compelling story. So I can't wait to report back on it. So there's that. So yeah, I'll probably check back in tomorrow and let you know on how I've made out with this book. See you then. So hey everybody, so I had really good intentions with this vlog, but unfortunately all my good intentions got derailed by a cold. Now what's funny is the last time I did a reading vlog, that was in June during the Read Your Gaze readathon. I ended up with a horrible cold during that reading vlog as well. And same thing again, which is kind of funny because, you know, usually I don't get colds very often. I can usually go a couple of years without getting a cold. So here I am. I had one in June and then another one in September. So yeah, so the first day I actually didn't do any reading at all because I felt like utter crap. And then I didn't have a voice for the past couple of days. But I did get a lot of reading done. That is one advantage of being sick, is you can get some reading done. So I finished The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. And I liked it. And it's one of those books that a lot of people, it's very polarizing. Either people love it or people hate it. Because true to Patrick Ness, it is an unusual, off-the-wall book. So there's a group of kids in school called the Indie Kids. And these are the kids who have the big destinies, who fight the monsters, who fight the vampires, who get killed fighting monsters and vampires. But this book is not about them. It's about the other kids. So think about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for those of you who are familiar with it, familiar with the TV series. You know, we have Buffy, Xander, Willow, the chosen ones. But this book is about all the other kids in the school, the ones who don't have grand destinies. So this follows Mikey and his friends as they're going through their last year, the senior year of high school. And then there's this whole other narrative going on the side involving the chosen ones, which they are not directly involved. So every chapter starts with a little excerpt, a little summary of what's going on with the chosen ones and what the new danger that everybody is facing. And then we get on to the narrative of our main characters, Mikey and his friends. And Mikey, Hannah, it is worth mentioning though, one of his friends is the god of cats, and that is explained in the book. So we really don't meet any of these indie kids until the very end when we meet one of them. But again, the story isn't about them, it's about the other people who are living a normal life, who just live here. So our characters and the indie kids, their paths do entwine a little bit, and the supernatural elements do come into this story and affect their lives as well. But they are not the ones who are doing the battles. So a really, really intriguing premise for a book that I thought. I really enjoyed it. And again, I know a lot of people didn't like it. From what I've read, people either love it or hate it. So I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I read it. So the next book that I read for this Monsterathon read-along was entitled Something Strange and Deadly. And this is written by Susan Dennard. And this is the young adult historical paranormal fantasy that takes place during the Victorian ages. And the story follows Eleanor Fitt, who is at the depot to meet her brother. But then the dead alarm goes off. And what that means is that the dead are walking. So in this world, there are certain bells that ring whenever the zombies are on the loose. So while at the depot, a zombie enters the building that Eleanor is in and delivers her a letter. And the letter is from her brother Elijah. And in the letter, he states that he's unable to come home at this time until he's able to do what somebody wants, a person. So given that her brother certainly can't control zombies, Eleanor assumes that the man who is controlling the undead has her brother and is holding him prisoner. So Eleanor then takes it upon herself to find him. So in so doing, she enlists the help of spirit hunters who may or may not be on the up and up, and who may or may not be on her side. So yes, a fun supernatural fantasy. And this is actually the first one in a series. I think it's a trilogy. You know, it was good, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with the rest of the series. I don't know if I'm invested enough in the characters. And I actually didn't know that this was part of a series when I picked it up, when I ordered it. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I'm kind of moving away from series and more into standalones. And though I have quite a few series on my bookshelf that I need to finish. But yeah, so I did enjoy this. I thought it was good. And I might pick up the next one. We'll see. But yeah, so Eleanor, as a high society gal encountering zombies, her character was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed reading this story. So the last book that I've read this past week for the readathon was entitled Rattled Bones. And this is written by S.M. Parker. So this follows a young woman, and I forgot her name already, Rita Bray. And she lives in a small fishing village in Maine when on the island near her village she sees a ghostly figure. And there is also a song coming from the island which is beckoning Rila. Now it's worth mentioning that Rila is still mourning the death of her father. So for her the veils of the living and the dead might be a little bit blurred at the moment. So Rila goes to the island. There encounters a young man, an archaeology student named Sam, who is working on digging up the island's secrets. So Rila ends up assisting him, and in the process learns a lot more about the mysterious ghostly apparition on the island, as well as her own past and her own secrets, which she was completely unaware of. So this was a fun ghost story. It was also a pretty fast read. I think I read it in one day. But you know, when you're sick, you really don't have too much else to do. But yeah, there's a lot to this book. You had a mystery, you had romance, you had family secrets, and of course, ghosts. But the most fun was when Rila and Sam started uncovering the secrets of the island. And let me tell you, those secrets are pretty terrifying. So I'd probably give this book 3.5 stars. It was an entertaining read. I mean, it didn't wow me like crazy, but I enjoyed it, and a fun paranormal romp, I thought. So that is it pretty much for my first week of Monsterathon. I ended up reading 4 books out of 10. And I'm still reading Cemetery Road a little bit every night because that's my big stonker at 600 pages. So hopefully I'll be a little bit better with vlogging in the coming week here, now that I'm a little bit on the mend and my voice is not quite as horrible as it was. But hopefully I'll be back on track with my vlogging. And actually, so I got 4 books read, so 6 more to go. So I'm not doing too bad as far as the readathon goes. And I have until the end of the month to read all 10 of them. And I've actually started reading another one called Jacoby. And I'm listening to this on audiobook as well. I checked my library's app, Libby, which many of you may be familiar with. It's an app through which you can listen to audiobooks, read ebooks, and I think maybe even watch movies. I'm not sure about the movies part, but for sure the audiobooks and the ebooks. So I just happened to check my library to see if Jacoby was on there by any chance, and it was available. So I started listening to it on audiobook, and I just started about it like, half an hour into it. So thus far I'm enjoying it. So I'll probably go back and forth between audiobook and book, which is kind of an interesting way to consume a story. And I think tonight I'm going to start The Chalkman as well, which is a thriller, which I'm looking forward to delving into. So I will check back in later on. Oh.